going to talk about today, I'm going to break down the actual cost of a product that I've done, and it's a Kickstarter. I'm going to start with showing you the video, just so you all know what it is that we're talking about, and then I'm going to go through the individual components of what it is that it actually costs. Because at the last Hardware Massive conference, one of the most interesting things that we talked about was how much are you paying for manufacturing, and what is your sales price. So this whole thing is dedicated to that. So there's going to be a teardown. I'm going to show you how much each individual component costs. I'm also going to show you that this Kickstarter it ran at a loss, but I think it's still a good idea to do Kickstarter. Okay, so let's start with the video. So,
how about this connector? Also familiar, right?
2 minutes.
Power goes in one direction and data comes out the other. Now what's this? It looks like a cell phone, only if you hold it at an angle, you'll notice something different. It's just the screen with those two connectors. It's called Manga screen, and it's basically a cell phone screen with an HDMI port and USB for power. Plugs into every nook and cranny as well as your pies and bones. Because the LCD panel was made for cell phones, that means it's modern, great resolution, high contrast, and low profile. The same with the touchpad. 10 fingers, all at the same time. Now how on earth can I put this fantastic invention to work, you ask? Here's some ideas. Done by makers with love and the Manga screen. The only problem is that it's not in shops yet. That's why you're watching this video, so we can do something about that. You see, we've used the better part of a year to get to this prototype, but now we want to make 1,000 so more people can make more stuff. We've partnered with this company to help with the PCBs, since they're awesome at doing that, and we've done this before, twice. They even gave us an award for it. But we still need some help getting these babies off our hands and into your projects. So stop watching, start backing.
Okay, yeah, so the Kickstarter was successful. I think it was 585 backers, and around the same amount in NOK. So just shy of 600,000 NOK. And from that money, we made 1,000 of the big one and 500 of a smaller version of that. So, yeah, and the sales price for each of them is $99. That was the sales price. Okay, so second slide. These are the components of the screen. So this is what actually took time to make. The electronics, the software inside it, and the total cost of that, I'm going to get to the details, but it's around, I think, around $12. This is the LCD, that's what you find in cell phones, and this is actually from a cell phone. And so that one costs $15, and I would say a normal price for that would be around $30. That's what you would expect to pay for an LCD panel like that, which is currently available. But this one has gone out of production because it was manufactured for a specific cell phone, HTC HD Desire or something, which has gone out of production. So somebody just bought, I think it was 13,000 units, and then they sold it, so that's like an aftermarket part. That's typically something you should avoid. But I only needed, 1,000 or 10,000 or something, so for me that's a good deal. This is an injection molded part. Sorry for the terrible picture there, but it's an injection molded part. It was my first injection molded part ever, and it was a lot of work. Just finding a manufacturer and getting it done, and it really took 7 months. I was like, it's going to be like 30 days, right? Such a simple part, but it really took 7 months. So this this Kickstarter was done middle of August 16, and estimated delivery was October, and now it's, what is it now? Middle of May, and it's just about to be delivered. It's going to be delivered soon, but still not delivered. This is the touch panel. So if you look at your cell phone screen, that is the same type of thing. That's what the cell phone manufacturers do as well. It's a capacitive touch panel. It doesn't really have any components on it, but it is custom made to fit on the screen, and it's custom made to have no distinguishing marks, and it's made to be symmetrical. So you can, rotate it any way you want. It doesn't look like a cell phone, but you can still see that it is what it is. So that one is $8.50, and then you have to bond it together. So the LCD and the touch panel needs to be bonded, and that process is $3.50. The packaging, it's not that packaging that is used, but that is actually a really small part of it. It's 37 cents compared to the 10% that we were talking about. So I'm skipping all the packaging of it. Okay. Yeah, so this is the breakdown of the actual stuff. So components, that's what you get at DigiKey or whatever sourcing company that you use. Making 1,000 units, this is the biggest batch that I've ever made of a product. So typically I've made like 500 or 250. So this is my biggest batch, and it's 1,000 units. So apparently that's small in other circles, but I think I paid around $14,000 or something like that for the PCB manufacturing. So this was done by several different companies. One was the touch panel bonding type thing. These two. The injection molding was done by a different company. I don't think I got a good price on that. I just googled injection molding China. What's the first one on top? But I looked at some other options, and typically they have such huge minimum order quantity, but these were willing to make an aluminum mold, so they could do 1,000 unit batches. So I think that turned out to be not a terrible deal after all. But the PCB tooling, that's just how much they pay for setting up to make the PCBs. The PCB, the cost of the actual green thing is nothing. It's 50 cents. The PCB assembly. So I think that's interesting because there's only two components that I think are not machine placeable. So all the components except two were surface mount technology. So you just put it in the machine, blah 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 blah. Spits out a lot. So as soon as you go for something that is through hole, then you need a worker for each part. That adds cost. So PCB assembly was not expensive. Then I got a bill for final assembly because they had to do some. They sort of had to put the plastic thing with the double-sided tape onto the back of the screen. And then place the wires in there and everything, and that I got a bill for that, so that was a little bit of money as well. Yeah, packaging 37 cents. The touch panel $8.50. Touch panel bonding $3.54. So this is actually, I think this is expensive. This is too expensive. I'm going to try to find a cheaper source for that. LCD is $15. This is an IPS screen. It's a 1080p screen, so it's good quality. If you look at it, it's typically like it looks like a cell phone, right? So if you've seen other screens like this, they will have bad contrast, and they will have terrible resolution, and they will be thick, and they will not be like good quality. You can tell that there's a difference. You also have some other stuff that costs money. So I was looking earlier today when I was quickly typing up this presentation. I looked at what other costs are there in association with this. So FedEx will just shipping prototypes to China and having them ship prototype back, testing jigs and NDAs and stuff. That was about 20,000 NOK. So this whole pie chart is 100,000 NOK. That was like total price of the extra stuff. So mistakes, that's, I think it was 20,000 or something. I had to redo all the PCBs, and I had to do a second iteration on the injection molded part, which is not bad. Typically you do several iterations on them, I think, depending on how good you are at design for manufacturing. But yeah, that's those mistakes, 20,000 NOK. But the prototypes, that's the big chunk of this pie. And that's like ordering the PCBs and having them assembled and all that. That's several iterations, I think. Typically, it's not easy to get away from that. And then I took a trip to China, which was about 10,000 NOK as well, just to look at the factories and also do an update to the Kickstarter, which I think is valuable. I mean, when you're doing a Kickstarter, you're really selling a story, and then some of the backers are just there for the product, but another part of it, another chunk of the backers, I think, are there because they like the story and they like the people in front of the camera, and they believe in this, they want to be a part of it. So then it's important to give updates and just give them a story, basically. Not just a product, but a product with a backstory. Yes. So this is a screenshot from Fiken. that's the money that came in after the PayPal was removed, and Kickstarter takes about 5%, so I think that's about minus 8%. And so if you look at this, it doesn't add up, because making 1,000 of these and 500 of the smaller ones, and then the additional expenses, and then the shipping out to the customers, that adds up to more than what was made there. So there's a deficit. And that's assuming that your time has no value. I don't know if that's true for you, but it certainly seems that way for me. And then, salary, rent, accountant, all the other stuff that you need to run a business. But then you are left with an inventory after all this. In my case, at least, I was left with an inventory of 800 units. So I think it was 600 units that was sold of the big screen. So that's 400 left there, and then 100 units of the smaller screen. So that should leave some inventory after this is all said and done. And that can later be sold at the regular price. And then you end up with a nice bragging page on Kickstarter. So you have a good video and you have a good story, and just what you're sort of left with on the Kickstarter after you deliver this, it has a marketing value, I would say, because you wouldn't put such a fancy video on your own webpage, right? But for Kickstarter, you can sort of do that, and it's fine. So that's that's something. And you get a bunch of customers that are also good ambassadors, and as long as you keep them in the loop and keep them up to date, then it's amazing how little bad comments you get. I'm surprised, like, God, you ordered this like a year ago and you still haven't, come to my house with a bat. So I'm surprised that hasn't happened. Yeah. So that's what I have to say about that. Questions, please. Yes, Kim.
So, if your assumption is right, then it's worth it, even though it's a deficit. I guess for a person like you, it really makes sense thinking about the next Kickstarter campaign before you even launch the first one. Because
Yeah.
do you have any thoughts on that?
Oh, that's good. It's good that you say that because I was gonna ask, you know, if you're interested to see the next video.
Yes.
Wow. Yes.
Yes.
So from the time that you sort of finish Kickstarter to the time that you deliver, then I didn't know this, but it turns out like it does take 7 months, which was mentioned here earlier. And in that time, when you're trying to follow up on the manufacturers and everything, you have to do something else. You can't just wait around because then all the money drains out and nothing is coming in. It's difficult to sell something when you're sort of